"We can't help you right now, Victoria. Your father and I have our own problems," my mother said through the phone, her voice cold as winter rain. I sat on my kitchen floor, surrounded by unpaid bills and my 2-year-old daughter Lucy sleeping in my lap. My husband James had been dead for 3 weeks, and I was drowning. I had called my parents begging for help with groceries, with rent, with anything. Instead, my mother hung up on me. That same day, I saw on Facebook that they had bought a new boat. A $20,000 boat, while their daughter and granddaughter ate peanut butter sandwiches for dinner again. I stared at the photo of them smiling on the water and felt something break inside me. Not my heart, that was already shattered. Something deeper, something that would never trust them again. The silence in my apartment was so loud I could hear my own breathing. Lucy stirred in my arms, and I whispered a promise that would change everything. "It's just us now, baby girl, but we're going to be okay." James died in a car accident on a Tuesday morning. One minute he was kissing me goodbye, talking about dinner plans. The next, a police officer stood at my door with words that turned my world upside down. We had been married for 8 years, together since college. He was my best friend, my partner, my everything. The funeral was a blur of flowers and sympathy cards. People said nice things about James and promised they would be there for me. But promises are just words, and words don't pay rent. Within a week, everyone went back to their lives. The casseroles stopped coming. The phone calls became shorter. By week 3, I was completely alone with a toddler who kept asking when Daddy was coming home. I had no life insurance because we were young and thought we had time. I had no family money because my parents believed in tough love. I had no safety net except the hope that blood meant something. I was wrong about that. My father William had always been distant, but my mother Patricia was supposed to be different. She used to tell me that mothers never stop caring, that family always comes first. But when I called her that night, sobbing and desperate, she lectured me about independence. "You're 35 years old, Victoria. You need to figure this out yourself," she said. I explained that I had applied for jobs but needed time to find childcare. I begged for just enough help to keep the lights on. She sighed like I was bothering her. "Your father says we can't keep bailing you out." Bailing me out? This was the first time I had ever asked for help. James and I had always been self-sufficient. We paid our own way, never borrowed money, never asked for favors. But apparently, one desperate phone call made me a burden. After she hung up, I sat in the dark to save electricity and planned my survival. If my own parents wouldn't help me, I would help myself. Nobody else was coming to save us. 2 days later, I drove past my parents' house and saw the new boat in their driveway. The price tag was still visible in the window, $19,900. I pulled over and stared at it, feeling sick. They had enough money to buy a luxury toy, but not enough to help their grieving daughter buy groceries. My hands shook on the steering wheel as I thought about calling them out. But what was the point? They had already shown me exactly where I stood. That night, I started selling everything James and I owned. His tools, his clothes, our wedding china, our furniture. I posted everything online and met strangers in parking lots, trading our memories for cash. Each sale hurt like a small death, but Lucy needed formula. She needed diapers. She needed her mother to be strong. I made $300 that first week. It wasn't much, but it was mine. I had earned it without begging anyone for help. That money represented independence, dignity, and the beginning of our new life without family support. My sister Amanda finally called after a month of silence. She didn't ask how I was doing or mention James. Instead, she complained about her promotion at work and her husband snoring. When I tried to tell her about my struggles, she cut me off. "God, Vicky, you're such a downer lately. Can't you talk about something happy?" I hung up on her. That was the moment I realized I was truly alone. Not just without James, but without any family that actually cared. My parents had dismissed me and my sister thought my grief was annoying. Even my in-laws had vanished after the funeral, too wrapped up in their own loss to remember that I was suffering too. I looked at Lucy playing with empty boxes on the floor and made a decision. I would stop waiting for rescue. I would stop hoping for help. I would build something myself, something that no one could take away from us. From that moment forward, we were a team of two against the world. And that was enough. I started cleaning houses for cash. It wasn't glamorous work, but it was immediate money. I strapped Lucy in her stroller and knocked on doors in rich neighborhoods, offering to clean for $20 an hour. Most people said no, but some said yes. I scrubbed toilets and mopped floors while Lucy napped in her stroller. My hands cracked from cleaning chemicals and my back ached from bending over bathtubs. But every $20 bill went straight into our survival fund. After 2 weeks, I had regular clients. Mrs. Henderson on Oak Street, the young couple on Elm Avenue, the retired teacher on Maple Drive. They were strangers, but they treated me with more kindness than my own family had. Mrs. Henderson always made sure I ate lunch. The couple on Elm gave me their old baby clothes. The teacher shared books for Lucy. These strangers became my lifeline while my blood relatives bought boats. They showed me what real kindness looked like, what genuine care felt like, when it wasn't conditional or transactional. One afternoon, while cleaning the Patterson house, I found a stack of business magazines in their home office. I flipped through them during my break, reading about entrepreneurs who started with nothing. One article was about a woman who built $1 million company from her kitchen table. Another was about a man who turned his truck into a mobile service business. I realized that I wasn't just cleaning houses. I was learning how rich people lived, how they spent money, what they valued. They paid for convenience. They paid to have problems solved. They paid premium prices for quality service. An idea began forming in my mind. What if I wasn't just Victoria, the desperate widow? What if I was Victoria, the business owner? What if I stopped thinking small and started thinking big? That night, I wrote my first business plan on the back of grocery receipts. I researched pricing, services, and market demand. I studied successful cleaning companies and identified gaps in the market. This wasn't just survival anymore. This was strategy. I called my cleaning service Fresh Start Solutions. The name felt right because that's exactly what I needed, a fresh start. I used my last $50 to print business cards and buy supplies. Instead of just offering basic house cleaning, I created packages: deep cleaning, organization services, move-in preparation, holiday decorating. I studied what other cleaning companies charged and priced myself higher, not lower. I positioned myself as premium, not desperate. My first real client was Dr. Martinez, a busy surgeon who needed someone reliable. I spent 6 hours making her house perfect, organizing every closet and sanitizing every surface. When she paid me $200 for one day's work, I nearly cried. That was more than I made in a week of random house cleaning. Word spread quickly in her neighborhood. Busy professionals wanted someone they could trust. Someone who showed up on time, worked hard, and paid attention to details. Within a month, I had more requests than I could handle alone. The business was growing faster than I had ever imagined possible. By month 3, I had 15 regular clients and a waiting list. I was making more money than James and I ever had together, but I was also working 16-hour days. Lucy came with me everywhere, sleeping in her car seat while I worked. Some days I was so tired I could barely stand, but I couldn't slow down. Every dollar I earned was freedom from ever having to beg my parents again. I hired my first employee, a college student named Beth, who needed flexible hours. Then I hired another. By month 6, I had 4 people working for me and was booking clients 2 weeks out. I moved us from our tiny apartment to a real house with a yard where Lucy could play. I bought a reliable car to replace the one that was falling apart. For the first time since James died, I felt like I could breathe again. Lucy was thriving in daycare, making friends, and learning new things every day. We had health insurance, a savings account, and hope for the future. My parents still hadn't called once to check on us, but I no longer needed them to. The business grew faster than I ever imagined. Rich people talked to other rich people, and my reputation spread through exclusive neighborhoods like wildfire. I specialized in homes worth over $1 million, places where people had more money than time. I learned their habits, their preferences, their schedules. I became invisible but essential, the person who made their lives run smoothly. By the end of year 1, Fresh Start Solutions was making 6 figures. I had 12 employees, branded uniforms, and a logo designed by a real graphic artist. I opened a business bank account and felt proud writing Victoria Walsh CEO on the signature card. Lucy was in a good daycare where she was happy and safe. We had health insurance, a savings account, and a future that looked bright. My parents still hadn't called once to check on us in an entire year. But I had stopped expecting them to, and more importantly, I had stopped needing them to. We were thriving without their help or approval. Success tasted sweeter because I had earned every dollar myself. Year 2 brought unexpected opportunities. Mrs. Patterson, one of my clients, owns several rental properties and asked if I could manage the cleaning between tenants. Another client, Mr. Rodriguez, recommended me to his property management company. Soon, I was contracting with real estate agents, property managers, and corporate housing companies. I hired more staff, bought commercial equipment, and rented office space. Fresh Start Solutions became the go-to cleaning service for high-end properties across the city. Local magazines wrote articles about successful women entrepreneurs, and I was featured twice. Lucy was 3 now, bright and happy, with no memory of those desperate early days. Sometimes I looked at her and marveled that we had survived. More than survived, we had thrived. Without any help from the people who were supposed to love us most. The business was generating more revenue than I had ever dreamed possible. We had security, stability, and a bright future ahead of us. I was proud of what I had built from nothing but determination and hard work. Every success felt earned, every milestone felt genuine. The phone call came on a Thursday evening. I was reviewing contracts when my mother's number appeared on my screen. I almost didn't answer. We hadn't spoken in 2 years. Victoria? It's Mom. How are you, sweetheart? Her voice was honey-sweet, completely different from the cold tone she had used when I was drowning. I stayed silent, waiting. We saw the article about your business in the Herald. We're so proud of you. Proud. After 2 years of silence, now she was proud. We'd love to come visit next weekend. Your father wants to see Lucy, and we have some exciting news to share. I felt something dark and familiar rise in my chest. The same anger I had felt staring at their boat while my daughter ate peanut butter for dinner. What kind of exciting news? I asked, though I already knew. They wanted something. They always did. People like my parents only showed up when there was profit to be made. The timing was too convenient, too calculated to be genuine family interest. They showed up Saturday morning in their expensive SUV, carrying gifts for Lucy and wearing their biggest smiles. My father hugged me like we were old friends. Look at this house. You've done so well for yourself. He walked through my home like he was appraising it, commenting on the hardwood floors and granite countertops. My mother gushed over Lucy, who barely remembered them. She's gotten so big and so smart. She must get that from our side of the family. I made coffee and waited for the real conversation to begin. It didn't take long. After 20 minutes of small talk, my father cleared his throat. Actually, Vicky, we wanted to discuss a business opportunity with you. There it was. Not an apology for abandoning me. Not acknowledgement of their cruelty. A business opportunity. I sat back in my chair and prepared for the performance. They had rehearsed this, planned it carefully. They thought they could waltz back into my life and profit from my success like nothing had happened between us. The audacity was breathtaking. My father pulled out a folder full of documents. Your mother and I have been researching franchise opportunities. We want to buy into one of those high-end cleaning service chains. He spread brochures across my kitchen table. The initial investment is only $200,000, but the potential returns are incredible. Only $200,000, like it was pocket change. We were hoping you might want to partner with us. Pool our resources, you know? Family working together. My mother nodded eagerly. With your experience in the industry and our capital, we could expand statewide. Imagine the possibilities. I looked at these people who had rejected me when I needed help and were now asking to profit from my success. The audacity was breathtaking. You want me to give you money for a franchise when I already own a successful company? My father's smile faltered slightly. Well, not give, invest. We'd all be partners. Partners. The word tasted bitter in my mouth. They wanted to use my expertise, my reputation, my hard-earned success to make themselves rich. Partners, I repeated slowly. Like how you were my partners when James died? The room went quiet. My mother shifted uncomfortably. That was different, Victoria. You needed to learn dependence. Independence. I needed groceries, I interrupted. I needed help with rent. I needed family support during the worst time of my life. My father's face reddened. We couldn't just throw money at your problems. You needed to stand on your own feet. You bought a boat 3 days after I called you begging for help. Now they both looked uncomfortable. My mother tried to smile. Let's not dwell on the past. We're here now, aren't we? Ready to support you. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Support me? You want to use my expertise and connections to make yourselves money. That's not support, that's opportunism. Lucy wandered into the kitchen, and I pulled her onto my lap protectively. These people were strangers to her, and I intended to keep it that way. They had lost the right to be in her life when they abandoned us. My father's mask finally slipped. Don't be so dramatic, Victoria. We're offering you a legitimate business opportunity. You could expand nationally with our backing. I don't need your backing. I built this company myself, with no help from anyone. My mother reached across the table. Sweetheart, you're being emotional. This could benefit everyone. I pulled my hand away from hers. Emotional? My husband died and my parents abandoned me. My daughter and I survived on peanut butter sandwiches while you bought luxury toys, and now you want to profit from my success? Yes, I'm emotional. The silence stretched between us like a wound. Lucy played with my necklace, oblivious to the tension. Finally, my father stood up. I think we should go. You're clearly not in a rational frame of mind to discuss business. Rational, like my anger wasn't completely justified. Like their abandonment was reasonable and my success was just luck. They had shown their true colors, and they were ugly. Before you leave, I said, standing with Lucy in my arms, let me show you something. I led them to my home office, where I kept my business awards and newspaper clippings. Photos of me with the mayor, certificates from the Chamber of Commerce, letters from satisfied clients. This is what I built while you were enjoying your boat. This is what I accomplished while you ignored your grieving daughter. My mother touched one of the frames. We always knew you were capable. No, you didn't. You thought I would fail. You thought I would come crawling back, begging for scraps. I turned to face them, but here's what you didn't count on. I don't need you anymore. I don't want your money, your partnership, or your suddenly convenient affection. My father's jaw tightened. You're making a mistake, Victoria. Family should stick together. Family should stick together during tragedies, not just during success. They had proven they weren't family when it mattered. Now they were just opportunistic strangers. They left in a storm of wounded pride and muttered complaints. I watched from my window as they drove away in their expensive car, probably already planning their next approach. But there wouldn't be one. That afternoon, I changed my phone number. I blocked them on social media. I instructed my staff that my parents were not welcome at our office or work sites. Lucy and I were better off without them, and I finally had the strength to make that choice permanent. That evening, my real family came over for dinner. Beth, my first employee, who had become like a sister. Mrs. Henderson, who still sent birthday cards to Lucy. Dr. Martinez, who referred clients and offered business advice. These people had shown up when I needed them. They celebrated my success without asking for anything in return. They loved Lucy unconditionally and supported my dreams. Blood doesn't make family. Loyalty does. These people had earned their place in our lives through their actions, not their genetics. They were the family we had chosen, and they had chosen us back. 6 months later, Fresh Start Solutions was acquired by a national company for $2.3 million. I kept the local operations and became a regional director, but the financial security was life-changing. Lucy and I moved to a beautiful home with a swimming pool and a garden. I set up college funds and retirement accounts. I donated to charities that help single mothers and grieving families. I hired lawyers to create trusts and wills, making sure Lucy would always be protected. The local newspaper wrote another article about my success story. In the interview, I talked about resilience, hard work, and the importance of chosen family. I never mentioned my parents or their abandonment. They weren't part of my story anymore. They were just people I used to know who taught me that I was stronger than I thought. The acquisition money meant freedom. Freedom from ever worrying about bills again. Freedom to choose how we spent our time. Freedom to help other people the way no one had helped us. Success felt sweet because it was entirely earned. My father showed up at my office unannounced the day the sale was announced. My secretary tried to stop him, but he pushed past her into my private office. $2 million, Victoria? And you couldn't spare $200,000 for family? His face was red with anger and entitlement. I can spare it, I said calmly, not looking up from my computer. I just choose not to. He slammed his hand on my desk. We're your parents. We raised you. You raised me to be independent. Mission accomplished. I finally looked at him. You taught me that I can't count on family. You taught me that love is conditional. You taught me to never trust people who abandon you during crisis. He tried to argue, but I held up my hand. I'm successful because you rejected me, not despite it. Thank you for the lesson. Security escorted him out. I never saw him again. His visit only confirmed that I had made the right choice in cutting them off permanently. They would never change, never accept responsibility for their actions. Lucy is 7 now, and she doesn't remember the dark days after James died. She thinks we've always lived in our beautiful house, always had money for dance classes and summer camps. Sometimes I'm grateful for that, and sometimes I wish she knew how far we've come. She has friends whose grandparents spoil them with gifts and attention, and occasionally she asks why hers don't visit. I tell her that some families are complicated, but we have plenty of people who love us. She seems satisfied with that answer. Beth brings her kids over for play dates. Mrs. Henderson teaches Lucy to knit. Dr. Martinez takes her to science museums. Our chosen family is rich with love and support. Blood relatives can't compete with people who choose to care. Lucy is growing up secure in the knowledge that she's loved unconditionally by people who earned their place in her life. She'll never know the pain of being abandoned by people who should love her most. That's my gift to her, security and unconditional love. Last month, my mother sent a letter to my old address. The postal service forwarded it, and I almost threw it away without reading it. But curiosity won. Inside was a 3-page explanation of how she and my father were struggling financially. His health was failing, their medical bills were mounting, and they had lost their house. She wondered if I might be willing to help them, for old time's sake. She signed it, "Love, Mom," like nothing had changed between us. I read it twice, waiting to feel something. Anger, satisfaction, pity, anything. Instead, I felt nothing. These people were strangers, asking for money from someone they had treated poorly. I shredded the letter and took Lucy to the park. We fed ducks and played on swings, surrounded by the warmth of our real family. Their financial struggles weren't my responsibility. They had made their choice years ago when they bought a boat instead of helping their daughter. Now they had to live with the consequences of prioritizing luxury over family. The irony isn't lost on me. I became successful because my parents forced me to be independent. Their rejection taught me to rely on myself, to fight harder, to never give up. In trying to punish me for needing help, they accidentally gave me the greatest gift, the knowledge that I could survive anything. But I didn't owe them gratitude for their cruelty. I didn't owe them forgiveness for their abandonment. I didn't owe them anything at all. Success hadn't changed who they were, it had just revealed their true nature. They loved money more than they loved me. They loved status more than family. They loved themselves most of all. Knowing that was painful, but liberating. I could stop wondering why they didn't care and start appreciating the people who did. Their abandonment had forced me to become stronger, more independent, more successful than I ever would have otherwise. They had accidentally created the very success they now wanted to profit from. The irony was perfect, and so is my refusal to let them benefit from it. Today, Fresh Start Solutions employs 43 people across 3 states. We've expanded into commercial cleaning, property management, and business consulting. I speak at entrepreneur conferences and mentor other single mothers starting businesses. Lucy wants to be a scientist when she grows up, and I know she'll achieve whatever dreams she chooses. We have a good life built on hard work, determination, and the love of our chosen family. Sometimes I wonder if my parents ever think about what they lost. Not just my success or my money, but the chance to know their granddaughter, the chance to be part of something beautiful instead of just bitter observers. But that's their loss to carry, not mine. I learned that freedom means choosing who deserves access to your life. Blood isn't an automatic invitation. Love is an obligation. It's choice. We choose our family every day through our actions, our support, our presence. My parents chose luxury boats over love, status over support, pride over presence. They made their choice, and I made mine. Standing in my office today, looking at photos of Lucy's latest dance recital, I felt profound gratitude for that terrible phone call 7 years ago. "We can't help you right now," my mother had said, and she was wrong. That was exactly the help I needed. I needed to learn that I was strong enough to save myself. I needed to discover that strangers could become family, and family could become strangers. I needed to understand that love isn't obligation, it's choice. Lucy bounded into my office after school, chattering about her day, secure in the knowledge that she's loved unconditionally. That's my real success story. Not the money or the business awards, but raising a daughter who will never doubt her worth. She'll never beg for crumbs from people who should offer feast. She'll know that she deserves better than conditional love. My parents taught me what not to be, and I taught Lucy what family really means. Sometimes the best revenge is living well, and we're living beautifully. Freedom begins when you stop waiting to be chosen and start choosing yourself.